The new beta testing is out for Call of Duty. That means bench Kyler Murray for week 4 in fantasy football. It's time for garbage time. Guys, welcome into Garbage Time Fantasy Football. Tonight, we have a recap of a very strange Week 3 in fantasy football. How are you doing tonight, Ron?
I am doing good. How are you?
I am doing great. I have only won 1 out of 4 of my fantasy leagues again this week, so I am off to a very bad start this year. So I was hoping to do a show and get in a little bit of a better mood. Guys, if you like what you hear on Garbage Time Fantasy Football, make sure to like and subscribe to the show here on YouTube. You can also listen to us in audio formats on Apple, Spotify, Google, Pandora, Amazon, iHeartRadio, TuneIn. Leave us voicemails at www.garbagetimeff.com. You can also leave us Instagram messages at Garbage Time Fantasy Football and at garbage_timeff on Twitter. Ron, you ready to get into a little bit of a contest announcement before we get into the apology and the news tonight?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the first thing I wanted to go over with you guys is here on Garbage Time Fantasy Football, we wanted to show an appreciation to the Heckling Fandom. So we have a contest that's going to be rolling in for you guys up until the end of the fantasy football season. To be entered into that contest and to win the potential prize, you first have to like to one episode, subscribe to the show, become part of the Heckling Fandom, leave a review on Apple, and then comment, I am the Heckling Fandom, to be entered into the contest. And Ron, do you want to find out what that prize is? If you are able to do all 4 of those and be entered into the drawing?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the prize, drum roll please, is a signed Miles Sanders card, Gridiron, from Panini. What do you think?
I like it. I mean, Miles Sanders had, for fantasy a couple good weeks, and this Eagles offense is looking great. So, Miles Sanders.
So again, guys, to be entered in to win this potential card, make sure to like and subscribe to the show. Join the Heckling Fandom here on YouTube. Leave us an Apple review. And then to let us know that you're done to be entered into the drawing at the end of the fantasy football season, comment, I am the Heckling Fandom on one of our videos, and then we'll enter you into the drawing to win a signed Miles Sanders Gridiron Kings card. Ron, you ready for the news?
Hell yeah.
News updates.
First little bit of news that I've got for tonight. Jets head coach Robert Saleh says he's expecting Zach Wilson to return in week 4. Do you think this is going to have any fantasy impacts on the players for this given team? Potentially Garrett there for the New York Jets or Elijah Moore?
I think if it's actually possible, the Jets offense might look worse for at least the first couple weeks of Zach Wilson's return. He's going to have to knock off all that rust, build rapport with the players again, outside of maybe Elijah Moore, but he hasn't been doing great really this year anyways. So it's hard. I don't trust it. Not yet.
Tua Tagovailoa says that he hyperextended his back and that he is not in concussion protocol. This is under investigation from the NFL too. It's kind of interesting to see what's going on with that. And the coaching staff seems adamant as well. What is your thoughts on what we saw transgress in that Bills and Dolphins game where the fish came out on top?
Well, shout out to anybody who would, be brave enough to pick the Dolphins to beat the Bills. And it's also, it looked like he had a concussion. He did that little stumble thing. It looked like he was shaking his head off. But I will say, I've been dealing with back pain recently, and there's been times I've wanted to stumble while walking also. So I'm not saying it wasn't back pain, but if I had to put my money on it, I'd be saying that he was probably at least slightly concussed.
Any chance they lose another draft pick over this?
That'd be funny.
What's the fantasy impacts for Tua next week? You think we're going to see his play diminish a little bit over the week potentially because of this injury?
That was a rough game for everybody. There was injuries everywhere. People kept pulling themselves out because of the heat. And it's almost like every time you see a game that is that like heavy hitting, you see a lot of tough plays and everything, the teams always come out the next week and play worse, like depending on the opponent. So not saying it's going to happen, but it's not outside the realm of possibilities.
Patriots head coach Bill Belichick said he is not going to speculate widely about Mac Jones's ankle and about him potentially being placed on IR. So what's your thoughts on this Mac Jones injury going in specifically for Superflex leagues going forward there, Ron?
Ankle injuries, you got to be careful. I mean, he's not a mobile guy, even though he did run in for a touchdown. But I mean, I don't know which foot was it. If it was his plant foot, that could mess with things if he's not planting right. I wouldn't start Mac Jones if he plays. I wouldn't be shocked if you see a different quarterback in there at least next week.
Yeah, and a lot of YouTube fantasy football doctors are saying this is on more of a severe portion of the scale for ankle injuries. So this will be interesting to see if he misses a number amount of weeks and what the Patriots will do to adjust for that and what you'll have to look forward to in those offenses for fantasy football upcoming. Bears coach Matt Eberflus also said that David Montgomery, who has a knee and ankle injury, is day-to-day. What is your thoughts on this Bears backfield going into the coming weeks?
If David Montgomery doesn't play, Khalil Herbert is a full start. And I believe that's how it's going to go. I don't think Montgomery's out there. My guess is he'll probably miss 2 weeks, and then they'll put him back in. So I wouldn't start him even if he plays this week. I don't think he's going to be as healthy as they say he's going to be even if he plays.
If he's out, is he a top 12 fantasy football option in the upcoming weeks that David Montgomery isn't playing?
I don't know about top 12. You want your running backs to be on a scoring offense, and that's just not something the Bears do very often.
Fair enough. All right, speaking of running backs that also got hurt, that's right. Dalvin Cook's shoulder has popped out again, so that means he is expected to play, and the device is going on, which means he's about to score 4 touchdowns this week up against the Saints, right, Ron?
Oh, at least. Yeah, 4, maybe 6. I don't know. He might break the rushing touchdown record.
He might. Any chance he does miss because of the shoulder popping out again?
I don't think so. I think they've already said that he'll be fine. This is what he normally deals with. Apparently, it must be that shoulder contraption that he has to put on is just, it takes so much to put it on. They can't do it mid-game, I guess. I don't know.
I think it's that they put this device on, and he's just so apt to not get hurt that he's just like, all right, I'm going to go bulldoze him just like a lineman with a freaking cast on his hand. He just is like, nope, I'm going to spear everyone. Just goes hell's bound, and he knows it's not going to pop out, and he feels comfortable with it on. Fox Sports' Jay Glazer reports that Julio Jones is dealing with a partially torn PCL, but is expected to play this upcoming week. Should fantasy owners hang on to Julio for this week, or is he a drop candidate?
Oh, no, hang on to him. Hang on to him, definitely. You don't know how long Godwin's going to be out, and we just seen it with the Bucs. This offense looks horrible without wide receivers. So,
speaking of horrible news for the Detroit Lions, DeAndre Swift is on the pup with a shoulder sprain, which is kind of interesting because Dalvin Cook seems to be able to play with this. There must, as the fantasy footballer said today, be only one device.
Dalvin Cook's is a dislocated shoulder. This is a little bit different.
Yeah, but he is expected to be out after week 6. So what's your thoughts on Jamal Williams going forward in this Lions offense? How is this going to operate?
I think Jamal Williams is plenty enough capable to step in for DeAndre Swift. He's not near as explosive, but he's still a top 15 fantasy running back, and you definitely need him on your roster.
What is our thoughts on the injury to Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas in that Saints offense now that Chris Olave seems to have appeared as a predominant weapon for the Saints?
Sounds like Landry and Thomas are both going to be all right. They came out and said they don't expect him to even miss this week. But I still think Olave is the person you want to have on your team. He's been getting a lot of targets. I think he's going to ascend to the number 1 on the team sooner rather than later.
All right, Ron, any other news you'd like to go over tonight before we get into my fucked up apology?
Nope. I think that's good.
All right, guys, we have another apology bait because I seem to be losing to Ron a lot into these lately. This was because the Packers beat the Bucs because the Bucs had no wide receivers. So let's see what bullshit he's got for me tonight. In the words of Ron, out of my mouth, how foolish of
No.
me.
You wrote this. This is all on you, bud.
Yes. How foolish of me. How can I be so wrong about everything in football? How could I think that this team missing key pieces was going to beat a team led by a Pro Bowl level quarterback who has played in the Super Bowl? Oh, wait. We aren't talking about how I picked the Jets to beat the Bengals. Oh, we are talking about how I foolishly picked the Bucks without any wide receivers to beat the Packers. That was just straight foolish. I should learn to trust Ron more. This this wonderful, amazing man who knows so much about football, who has picked 10 out of 15 games correct so far this week, is so much better than me in all things football. My awful picks out of the 7 out of 8 will still be better than the Jets record this year. Oh, well, at least I have a winning record in our winner league. Oh, wait. No, I mean our dynasty league. Oh, no, not that one either. I am a broken man, just like Zach Wilson. Maybe if I wasn't off chasing Cougars with Zach, I could be better at all of these things. I guess I will just have to listen to Mr. Seymour more. Go Giants. Yeah. Fucking disgusting.
I love how that drop is like elevated from one thing to like just anytime you want to show a screaming, you just throw it.
Yeah, no, that was very appropriate, I think, to go into the weekly recap for week 3. So, Ron Seymour, I have decided in these new formats to break our weekly breakdowns into the good, the bad, and the surprising. So, what do we want to do for this past weekend for fantasy football? Do we want to see the good, talk about the shitty, or talk about the surprising?
Let's go with the good to start.
Okay, and then just get progressively worse?
Yeah.
All right, so Lamar Jackson continues his video game numbers. So I want to get your thoughts on Lamar Jackson going forward, your secret lover in the NFL realms of fantasy football.
Gee, and I wonder why. Maybe it's because he's damn good for fantasy football.
What did his weekend look like?
Single-handedly carrying me to a 2-1 record in garbage time, even though I have Kyler Murray that did absolutely nothing this week because the beta was this week for Call of Duty.
No, that's this upcoming week.
No, it was this weekend.
Yeah, well, he's going to continue to be playing it.
PlayStation was last weekend, Xbox was this weekend, so.
I'm sure he's got both consoles.
So he probably does, yeah. I'm hoping, once, we're on Lamar Jackson. Yeah, definitely. Amazing. MVP, let's go.
Speaking of wide receiver MVPs, at least for my team, Marquise Hollywood-Brown looked great for the Cardinals, who have not a lot of weapons. 140 yards on 14 receptions, so peppered with targets. What's your thoughts on Hollywood-Brown going forward?
I think the next couple weeks he'll be real good. He'll probably take a step back once DeAndre Hopkins comes back, but I think you see his targets take a step back, but his production kind of increase because he won't be drawing the best. He won't be drawing the best coverage anymore. That'll be DeAndre Hopkins. And I think you see this entire Cardinals offense take a huge jump up when they get DeAndre Hopkins back.
I agree with all of those sentiments. All right, let's talk about the good, and that would be the top 2 tight ends in the NFL right now. Mark Andrews had 2 touchdowns on 8 receptions, and Travis Kelce is back in prominence. So what's your thoughts on these two going forward? It kind of seems like these two are filling the role of what you did with high draft capital, and the running backs this year have been quite disappointing. So give us a lay down of that.
Yeah, I mean, most running backs that were taken in the first round haven't done shit, like consistently at least.
Not many of them.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you took the shot in the first round on Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews over some of these guys, I mean, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. I mean, even the wide receivers that were taken in the first round, I mean, still, they haven't. Jefferson, Chase, the only one that's really been good for you is Cooper Kupp.
Who finishes as the number 1 tight end on the year? Is it going to be Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce?
God, I think it's got to be Andrews, right? I mean, I think last week Travis Kelce didn't have a great outing. I don't know. It's going to be so close. I think it'll be a lot tighter than it has been any other year. Outside of injury, of course.
Who do you think the number 3 tight end right now is in all PPR formats is?
Do you know the answer to this?
I do.
Then I'm going to assume it's Conklin just because you're talking about it.
Yeah, someone who I was high on, and you said that you could definitely fade. We will see with Zach Wilson coming back if he's a favorite target there. But he's also got ball security issues, so I'm wondering if his viability may falter a little bit. But right now, he's the number 3, so he got to play him, I would think.
Hasn't Uzama been injured too?
He has, but he came back this week and did nothing.
Wow.
But coming off the injury, we'll see in the coming weeks if that changes. But that wasn't the narrative in the offseason either, or the first few weeks. Conklin did comfortably have the job over him. Yeah. So we'll see how that runs out. Josh Allen, again, over 30 points for fantasy football. Easy to say, just an ultimate weapon, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're going to throw the ball 50, 60 times a week, it seems like. And even when they're winning games handedly, they're still throwing the ball. And they go for it a lot on 4th down, which is another great thing for fantasy football. Just more chances. So Josh Allen is great.
Speaking of running backs that were disappointing the first few weeks, but the snow is now falling. The Yeti has arrived. Derrick Henry, 85 rushing yards, 58 receiving, and a touchdown. The Yeti has arrived for the rest of the season, correct?
I mean, you would think so. You would think that the Titans would, feed him the rock. I mean, he had more carries this week than I think he had the other 2 weeks combined or something like that. Like he wasn't getting the carries, and he had some reception work, which in the first 2 weeks, you saw it was always Hilliard on 3rd downs and getting all the targets. Like you didn't see Derrick Henry getting like any. So I think they realize that he's the best player they have on that team right now, and they need to get him the ball.
Guys, leave us voicemails at www.garbagetimeff.com and let us know your thoughts on Derrick Henry for the rest of the season. You can leave voicemails on the right side of the screen and join the Heckling Fandom that way. It seems that we have a comment for Heckling Fandom, and it is Adam. I hate Keenan Allen so much. Yeah, well, don't worry. He will be back, and he's going to be Justin Herbert's top weapon. So you'll have many weeks where you will love him, I think. What's your thoughts on that? You hope, but I think you will.
Let's see how Justin Herbert looks.
All right. James Robinson has another 100-yard game with a touchdown. So this is 3 good games in a row. And James Robinson is currently a top 5 running back in the league currently. Is that going to be the standpoint of him by the end of the year, or what are we looking at with him?
James Robinson, top 5? No, I think some of these other guys will pick it up. But I got to give it to James Robinson. Like, he is crushing that narrative about Achilles injuries. So I got to give it to him. This whole Jags offense has looked great, dare I say, this year.
Crazy.
It's weird what happens when you get good coaching in there, I guess.
It is. And your take on James Robinson was a... Just got to get that in like once an episode. A shit take.
Okay, that's fine. I understand. No, it really was. I faded him everywhere. I have him nowhere. And that's a mistake.
All right.
Isn't he the number 2 fantasy football running back right now?
It depends on the format. 2 in some and 3 in others. He's very, very impressive right now. Etienne's getting his work in some other ways, but not up to the point where you wanted him. He's disappointing
what
where
I thought
you
he was going to be getting. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Speaking of someone that is returning back to life, and this turns into the good point of fantasy football, Joe Burrow comes in with 275 yards and 3 touchdowns. Is this the symptom of him playing just against a shitty Jets defense, or do you think we can expect more consistent games from Joe Burrow from here on out?
I'm going to go mostly Jets defense. Honestly, I mean, until he does it against a good defense, then I'll probably change my tune. But people who drafted Joe Burrow where they drafted him are upset.
I am up to this point. At least he came through this week, though, so we'll see if he can consistently keep.
I mean, even 275 and 3 isn't great. You know what I mean?
It's enough to get by.
Yeah, it's an okay fantasy football game.
All right. And Jeff Wilson rushed 12 times for 75 yards in San Francisco. And a week 3 loss against Denver, and also added in 3 catches for another 31 yards. Is this exclusively Jeff Wilson's backfield going forward, and this going to continue for the San Francisco backfield?
Until Elijah Mitchell gets back.
Anything else for the good of fantasy football that you'd like to add, or would you like to start talking about some nasty shit, Ron?
Let's get into the nasty.
Nasty? All right. This is real nasty. Justin Jefferson for 14 yards. What the fuck happened?
Crushed me in winter, man. Absolutely crushed me. I don't know if they got the win. Like, I don't know what happened. He actually spread the ball around a little bit more. He's had 2 kind of down weeks. Last week wasn't horrible, not like this, but
KJ Osborne, the prolific hero, though? That's just so weird to say.
I think it will, I think you'll see it even out. He'll end up being more involved again.
It was such an odd game script, though, because I felt like the Lions just kind of dominated that game from all aspects, and then Minnesota came right at the end to win it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just a weird week from Justin Jefferson. But you were starting him every week because he is Justin Jefferson and nothing more. His teammate, Dalvin Cook, was off to a good start, 96 yards on the touchdown, but separated the shoulder. I put this in the bad category for now, but for your fantasy football team, when the device comes on, this could end good. So,
he wasn't that bad. I mean, he still got like 15 points this week for you, but.
Oh, no, I just mean for the injury.
Yeah, the injury is concerning, but it looks like he'll be all right. So.
Yeah, no, this has kind of been a trend for him the last 3 or 4 years.
This is what's between good and bad. This is my meh. This is a meh thing.
This next thing isn't meh. This has happened 2 weeks in a row. Devontae Adams kept it 36 yards, but a touchdown, which is comparable for fantasy football players, but not for Devontae Adams. So what the hell is going on there in Raiderland?
Well, obviously, when you have superstar Mack Hollins on your team,
that's right.
You can't expect to. No, I think Derek Carr is doing the right thing, even though I think they're 0-3 now, which is wild.
Yeah.
But I think he's doing the right thing, and he's just getting the ball to the people that are open, really. I mean, and, probably taking what he's getting. I haven't been able to watch any of the Raiders games, so I can't really see, like, if he's getting pressured a lot or anything like that. But he's obviously throwing the ball because Mack Hollins had a huge day. Darren Waller, I believe, had a touchdown this week. That might have been last week, actually. But, he's getting the ball around, and it's just, Adams is not getting the 46% target share that he got in week 1.
This may be a jump ahead to the waiver show tomorrow, but is Mack Hollins someone you're heavily targeting on waivers this upcoming week just as a potential ad, or are you looking at other players?
I picked him up last week and actually played him this week. Helped me out in some leagues. I believe. Did I play him in Dynasty?
Couldn't tell you. Didn't play it this week.
I think I did. Because
I'm
just like, as you said earlier, I'm just a fantasy football genius.
Not in years past. Travis Etienne, 30 rushing yards, as I said, but 45 receiving yards. So all right for fantasy football, but not for what you took him at. So what does Travis Etienne's future look like in the future part of this Jaguars offense?
I still think he picks it up. But as long as James Robinson there, he's capped. But I don't think they pay James Robinson the money he's going to want when his contract is up, which I believe is coming up soon because undrafted people. Are you all right there?
Yeah, I'm good.
You looked like you were about to throw up.
I was trying not to cough over the podcast.
Oh. That was, go watch the video if you're listening to audio, because he legit looked like he was going to throw up. It was great.
Wouldn't that be great for the podcast?
Oh yeah, just all over your lens and shit. That'd be awesome.
And I would keep going.
Yeah. But yeah, as long as James Robinson's there, I don't think Travis Etienne can hit the ceiling that he could have.
Yeah, so that's a little bit disappointing.
What the fuck?
What just happened, Ron?
Oh, the Giants are on 3rd and 23, and I think they just got a penalty, so it's probably going to be 3rd and 33 now.
Great. Yeah, I think
this team is 2-0.
I think for Dynasty, Travis Etienne is a great outlook, but for redraft, it kind of sucks this year unless you potentially have him as a keeper. But I don't know if you want to keep him over other players. Speaking of people who seem to have removed the disguise, Carson Wentz fell back to earth on a bad game. 221 yards and a fumble, 22 yards rushing. Is this him returning back to the norm? Is this the Eagles' defense? Or are we going to see what we saw the first 2 weeks going forward?
I think this is a mix of the both. I mean, he did get sacked like 9 times or something like that.
Yeah, murdered.
I don't think he's going to be as bad every week, but if he's up against a good defense, I think he's going to be bad.
Gross.
Yep.
Speaking of gross.
What you love to hear for your holy shit, Barkley, you're crazy.
One of the positives of fantasy football this year, from what I'm guessing. Right, Ron Seymour?
What's up?
I said one of the positives of fantasy football this upcoming season, Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, he's been looking real good. We got 8 seconds to halftime, so I'm just kind of
trying to pay attention to it.
Giants got the ball 4th and 2. I'm trying to see, I can't see where they are on the field. Are they going to kick a field goal and tie this up, or are they not there?
Christian's appearing here for the Heckling Fandom. Ron, fantasy football genius. Ron, also 1 and 2 in keeper league. Thank you for that, Christian.
We're not talking about that right now, Christian, man. Come on.
But we were talking about news that is potentially bad, and that is not Saquon Barkley. Potentially bad is the fact that Elijah Moore only has 49 yards and 4 receptions. He's getting a lot of looks in that Jets offense, but he has been highly disappointing up to this point. Do you think he's someone that's going to be in for a better part of the season and is going to continue to get those looks, or what's up with him?
I think he'll look better once Zach Wilson comes back. Him and Zach Wilson already have a repertoire, so I think he looks better.
So you're just keeping him on the bench until you get a big game from him?
Pretty much.
All right, Alvin Kamara, 60 yards and a fumble. What the hell's up with Kamara? It doesn't seem to be going right for him this season.
I think it's probably this offense.
Just the style or the way they're using him, or what?
Yeah, the style, the way you're using him, the fact that he's not getting touchdowns. They don't have to worry about the passing game as much because it's not Drew Brees. I think he'll still have his big explosive games, but I don't think he's going to be as consistent as he was once.
Okay, and I've got a question for you about James Conner. 18 receiving yards, 39 yards rushing. Is he a potential bench candidate for your fantasy football team? The Cardinals' offense just seems to be a mess.
I'm going to say 2 things. If it's a good running back, I'm going to say a few things. If it's a good running back matchup, you can play him. If you have better options, bench him. Do not get rid of him, because as soon as D-Hop comes back, Rondale Moore comes back, you're going to see this offense take off, and it'll open up for more passing opportunities for him, because the coverage will be on Hollywood and Hopkins, and it'll open up the running lanes for him too, because they won't be able to stack the box as much because they're going to have to worry about that receiving core.
Not only that, they seem to be using him in the red zone still too. You're seeing him still get those opportunities. They're just not as prevalent because the Cardinals are not pushing the ball downfield like they were last season because, like you said, lack of weapons. Joe Mixon also held the 30 yards this upcoming week. Was this because of game script, or is something going on with Mixon too?
Probably game script. I don't know. Piran came.
He was in the game a lot.
Yeah, they had that game handled pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably just didn't want Mixon to get injured, so they probably rested him a lot more. I wouldn't be too worried yet.
I'd be worried about Justin Fields, though. 106 passing yards and 47 rushing. What the hell is up with this Bears offense, and how are they winning games?
What's their coach's name? Eberflus or something like that?
Yeah. Well,
he sounds like an Oompa Loompa. Justin Fields looks like a Goomba. So this offense looks horrible. But they're gonna have more wins than the Giants this year, remember?
Yeah. I mean, they're well on their way.
Okay.
At this point, anyway. Are you ready to get into the surprises?
Yep.
First one I've got for you is someone that also goes in the good category, but it's surprising that he's playing this well. And I put him into the surprising category because we're seeing him as a prolific passer, Ron Seymour. Jalen Hurts, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns. The boy can pass. He looks great for fantasy football. Give him the love.
Oh, no, he looks real good. I mean, he has great weapons on the outside. They were saying that he took a lot of time this offseason to, work on his accuracy and perfect his passing. So he's doing good work. I mean, it is 3 games, but they look like one of the best offenses in the NFC, at least. Maybe all of the NFL.
Is Devontae Smith looking like one of the best wide receivers in the NFC? 169 yards and a touchdown. We were talking about potentially cutting him after week 1. So what's your thoughts on Devontae Smith going forward?
Oh, I think he'll be all right. I don't think he'll be 169 every week in the first half of games. But when you have someone like A.J. Brown also on the field, it's going to open up room for you. So these teams are starting to really, well, I think you're seeing a couple things. One, you're seeing wide receivers come out of college a lot more NFL ready. Like they are way more ready, I think, in the past couple of years than they have been before.
Specifically, the last 2 years, we're seeing a ton of these young players just perform very well in these offenses. So
and you're starting to see people. Oh, we have a quarterback who we think is the future. Let's go get him the wide receiver that he played with in college that made him look good in college. You're seeing that in more spots now.
Yep. 2 more surprising players this week. Khalil Herbert, as we already talked about, 2 rushing touchdowns and over 150 yards, and Mack Hollins, 150 yards and 1 touchdown. Who's going to be the more fantasy relevant player by the end of the year?
That depends on David Montgomery. If David Montgomery misses a bunch of time, then it's going to be Khalil Herbert. But if not, I think, Mack Hollins might only be good when Hunter Henry's out.
You're burning a bunch of fab on either one of these players?
I mean, you almost have to. Not a bunch. I would say probably about 15 to 20% for both of them.
What about if you were a David Montgomery owner?
If you're a David Montgomery owner and Khalil Herbert's still out there, probably 35, 40. I mean, you're going to need him.
All right, going into the surprising category, the Jacksonville Jaguars absolutely beating the shit out of the Chargers. Trevor Lawrence throws for 3 passing touchdowns. Zay Jones, 10 receptions and a touchdown. Give us a laydown of this offense going forward for fantasy football. Obviously, they got some things figured out there.
Yeah, I mean, we might be in a thing where Trevor Lawrence can support 2 decent fantasy wide receivers. Christian Kirk and Zay Jones have both been getting the targets every week. Like they're both right up there, 7-8 targets.
Are they going to win that division?
Let's see. It's the Colts, Texans, Jaguars, and
Titans.
Yes, they could.
Are they
100% could? Yes, I think they do. I think the Jags win it. That defense is sneaky good too.
Possibilities. Yeah,
that defense is sneaky good. Trayvon Walker has been playing very good football.
Lawrence finish top 6 or 7 by the end of the year for fantasy football?
No, I don't think he's got that upside just because he's not a prolific rushing. You figure, I think Kyler Murray will end up being up there. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. I would see, Jalen Hurts. Like there's 4 right there. And then you got people like Herbert, Mahomes, like these people that are always in that area. So I don't think Lawrence can get up in there this year, but definitely top 10. And if he keeps playing the way he's playing, it's going to be top 10 for years to come. So if you got him in Dynasty, be happy.
You just mentioned Josh Allen too. Are the Bills getting back to supporting the running game with Devin Singletary, who was on the field prolifically a lot more than the other 2 on his team, especially more than Moss? We saw him get a lot of rushing work, got him the ball in the passing work too. Is Singletary a decent option going forward for fantasy football?
I think he'll be all right, but I think he's more of a running back 3 with upside. I think what you saw this week was the Dolphins defense has very good secondary with Xavier Howard and some of these other pieces. Stephon Diggs was dealing with cramps all game. Gabe Davis just came back from an injury. Like, I think what you saw this week was the result of the Miami's defense just being really good against the wide receivers and the wide receivers not being at 100% really.
Have you ever cleared desk like Ken Dorsey did right on national TV?
No, that was wild.
That was
But
incredible.
I mean, Josh Allen was upset too when, they couldn't get that playoff.
Yeah, he was crying on Tua Tagovailoa like he was his daddy at the end of the game. So it was quite
Well,
an
Tua is
emotional
his
moment
daddy.
for him. He is for now, at least. Romeo Doubs, 73 yards, 8 receptions, and a touchdown. Is he a top waiver priority going forward for the Green Bay Packers, who seem to need him now that the Lizard King, the true Lizard King, Sammy Watkins, has slid back to injury prone?
Yeah, I think Romeo Doubs is definitely a pickup. I mean, Rodgers needs help and he likes chemistry, and it looks like he might be developing that chemistry with Romeo Doubs. So
Yeah, that's
definite
definitely
pickup.
interesting. And he said he wasn't the average rookie, too. By the end of the year, is it going to be him or Christian Watson with more fantasy relevance?
I mean, with Christian Watson already being injured once, being injured again, I would put the odds on Doubs.
Okay, and we have a lifeline for DK Metcalf and Adam Thielen. Who are you more confident in going forward over the next few weeks?
Thielen.
And
Better
why would that
offense, better quarterback. That's why.
Okay, is DK Metcalf still going to have an all right year?
Yeah, he's definitely getting the targets. He'll definitely finish as at least a wide receiver 3, which obviously is not where you drafted him. But I think he has explosive weeks. But there's going to be more weeks than not that he doesn't get a touchdown.
And what the hell is our thoughts on Devontae Parker's 156-yard, 5-reception game, especially now that Mac Jones is out? Is this something that he's going to be able to do over the next few weeks? Is he going to consistently do this when Mac Jones is back? What do we make of Devontae Parker's game? Is this just another?
What was your line for Ryan? What was it?
I believe it was either 800 or 850 and 5 touchdowns.
Oh, 5 touchdowns, and he had what, 1 in this game?
Yes.
So he needs what, 5 more games like this, and he probably's got it.
Something like that. We get him?
It's gonna be great when he finishes with like 799 and 4.
And Ryan's reading the apology.
And he's reading the apologies for like 1 yard, 1 touchdown type of shit. That'd be great. I'd fucking love that so much. It'd be the best.
So what do you think of Devontae Parker going forward then? What do we have to expect from him? Is this just the wide receiver carousel with the New England Patriots, or is this actually something here considering the capital they traded for him?
If you need wide receiver depth and you have the room on your roster, throw a quick end of the waiver claim thing on him. I mean, you can trade. I mean, Darnell Mooney isn't doing shit. There's people that we know now they're not doing shit. The Lizard King, get him off your team. Like, if you have the spot for him, I would put him on your bench to see. Don't play him, but put him on your bench and see if this is what's going to be normal or if this was a fluke. I mean, you should know in a week or two.
All right, Ron, anything that you want to add to from this past weekend for the Heckling Fandom?
No, I think we got through most of the stuff.
I think we did too. And guys, if you like what you hear on Garbage Time Fantasy Football, make sure to like and subscribe to the show. You can also listen to us in audio formats on Spotify, Google, Apple, Pandora, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and anywhere you get your podcasts. And again, if you want to win the Gridiron autographed sign Miles Sanders card, make sure to like an episode, subscribe to the Heckling Fandom here on YouTube, leave a review on Apple, and leave a comment saying I am the Heckling Fandom, and you will be entered into a drawing at the end of the fantasy football season to win that Gridiron autographed Miles Sanders card. Also, feel free to visit us at www.garbagetimeft.com and leave us voicemails on how much you want to win that card. Make sure to leave us comments too on Garbage Time Fantasy Football and on Twitter at garbage_time_FF. Feel free to leave us comments live on these shows or after these shows about your start-sit questions on the week, waiver wire questions. We are very active. We always get back to you. And Ron, if they want to reach you, where can they find you on Twitter?
Twitter at HSSI Fantasy. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We're here on YouTube. We'll go live and do our waiver wire show. I believe that'll be Joe, Ryan, and JJ. I have to work, so I won't be up there for that one.
Poor
but yeah,
bastard.
make sure you come in there and we'll answer your waiver wire questions live. And so you get the most updated news that we have to that time.
And Hager Christian has another question for you here. He says, all right, Fantasy Football Ron, should I drop Jerry Jeudy and pick up Romeo Doubs? This is actually a pretty interesting question, but no, you should find another way to get Romeo Doubs on your roster, and that is not releasing Jerry Jeudy, Christian.
Yeah, you don't want to get rid of Jerry Jeudy yet.
All right, anything else you want to say to the fans of the show, Ron?
Nope. Just thanks for watching. Remember to do the stuff to win that card for the contest, man.
Absolutely. All right, Heckling Fandom, join us for the Waiver Wire show tomorrow, and have a good night.